Is anyone feeling decision fatigue or information overload or anxious about what's going on with AI at a global level? Curious about how it will play out? All of this relates to Uranus shifting into Gemini. I'll be going over that and how to start to integrate practices that allow us to move with the flow of energy and really deepen our understanding of what's going on in the cosmos and how it affects us. Our Waking Dream is my show where I go over this each week. I'm Coco Swanson. I'm so glad you're here. Before we dive in, let me explain a few offerings over on my site. I have a free solutions lab where you come every other week live for 1 hour on Sundays, noon to 1 Pacific Time USA. Come live. I have a knack for really deepening my understanding and our understanding of the energy at play that keeps us bound in patterns. So we can explore that live in the Solutions Lab. Also, I have a leadership studio now that I'm really excited about. It's on my site. It's a membership platform for anyone interested in building internal coherence and working with astrology. It's baked in, and meditation and different awareness shifts that allow us to lead in sovereignty and co-creation. That's over on my website. So let's jump in. There's links below, of course. Let's jump into the material of this week, which is all about Uranus. Let's talk about what Uranus does when it's in a zodiac sign. Because when a planet enters into a sign that's a zodiac sign, it emphasizes whatever that specific planet emphasizes, and it mixes with that zodiac sign. So it's a puzzle that is quite different. If Uranus is in Taurus, which it has been for 7 years, it's a very different experience for all of us on the planet. The larger planets on the outer planets really impact all of us at a collective subconscious level. So if Uranus is in Taurus, it's very different than Gemini. What does Uranus do? It's a disruptor. It's an awakener. Uranus, I like to think of it as it awakens anything that's not aligned with universal truth. It aligns us with galactic truth, with patterns that will pass the test of time. So on planet Earth right now, like if we were talking and we were on a planet that we looked around and we saw that we were kind to each other, that we were kind to the earth, that we were obviously in regenerative practices, then Uranus would bring less of an awakening lightning bolt. But we on the planet have a lot of awakening to do in order to align with Aini, that's a Caro word, with right relation with all that is. So Uranus points, and Uranus can be quite drastic and dramatic. As somebody with a lot of Taurus emphasis, when Uranus hit all of the Taurus bits in my chart, it was exceptionally disruptive to my life. However, because I knew it was happening, I could outsmart it in a sense and implement practices that allow for the energy to change. So the lightning bolt that we want, that awakening that Uranus brings, we want that. Because I want us, humans, to wake up and to be and treat each other and speak and honor each other and live in a way that's in alignment with universal truth, that is in alignment with the good of all. Uranus is a zany sign, and for me, that is because the status quo, if we're going against the status quo, that's zany and bizarre. Yet it's probably in alignment with universal truth is, I doubt universal truth is that aligned with earthly status quo right now. So Uranus, the planet of awakening, just changed signs yesterday. It's a big deal. 7 years in Gemini. Last July, it jumped into Gemini for a good minute. I think it was a couple months. Now it's staying in Gemini. It went back to Taurus for one final little dip into awakening our values and our relationship with resources. That's a simplified way of saying it for Taurus, Uranus and Taurus. Uranus and Gemini, whole different game. And if we think of a 7-year transit, I like to allow for the deepest awakening that Uranus can bring. And so over that 7 years, it's more gentle, the awakening. And so my practices that I'll suggest, each astrologer will be different. My basis of astrology comes from embodiment, comes from wisdom traditions, comes from somatics. Astrology came after I had studied energy healing for 30 years. And so I use astrology as the map to point out the practices and the inquiry to bring to that time period to allow for the integration, the coherence within us to increase as we bring about the lightning bolt awakening. That's as Uranus brings about the lightning bolt awakening in Gemini. Let's talk about Gemini. Uranus in Gemini, 7 years. What's it about? It's disruption, innovation, awakening, alignment within our thinking. Innovation within how we're thinking, how we're communicating, how we're sharing information, how our learning ecologies change, how we are in education. So looking at college or looking at how we educate our children and ourselves. It's a sign of sisterhood, of networking. It's, to me, I think of Gemini as a messenger, gathering and sharing information. We're bringing about innovation to all of that. 7 years. So there'll be a disruption in how we think, in truth, in how we're sharing information and the ethics around that. And Gemini can be a very confusing sign because it's fantastic at multiplicity, at paradox, at carrying multiple truths at once and allowing for those truths to be changeable. We just came from 7 years of Uranus and Taurus. What I suggest in inquiry as Uranus enters Gemini is first to look at, again, how your values have changed, how your relationship to what resources you need and how you're resourced. Like, for instance, I noticed in the last 7 years, I'm drawn to more simplicity. I'm drawn to regenerative practices. I'm drawn to building things that last the test of time. It's a Taurus. It's to build fortified projects. So identifying your values is an important piece because our values inform our communication. They inform how we think, how we perceive any situation is ongoingly impacted by our values. So inquiry number 1 is just to pay a little homage to the awakening around your values in the last 7 years. Secondarily, are conversations feeling hard or confusing? Do you feel overwhelmed with the amount of information? How's the scroll feel? It's wired and tired is a Uranus and Gemini combination. How's this? Are you fervently attached to your opinions? Are you able to see other people's perspectives? Are you able to be, it's changeable. I am open to change my perception. How about at a global level? What are you noticing around AI and ethics? What makes you nervous in relation to artificial intelligence and the speed in which it's growing? These are all questions that I'd bring into this time. Along with overstimulation, think of if we're in a time of awakening, disruption, technology, and an inordinate amount of information. How is that on your nervous system? Because internally, our nervous system and our chakra system, which I'll be talking about, our energy system, are the information highways. It allows the information to go and either become frazzled or coherent. So to really look at your relationship to social media, to AI, to communication, to fervent opinions, to when you'll be changeable and when you won't be. And these are questions that we want to bring in 7 years. 7 years is a long transit. And I've noticed with each Uranus transit, the great disruptor is really active at the beginning of the transit. It's coming in and it's bringing, it's a go big or go home. It's a lightning bolt awakening. So are you allowing yourself to be awakened in how you perceive and how you think? A simple phrase is, I am open to change. I soften my perception. I align with universal truth. Considering it's a 7-year transit, I suggest we get to know the feeling of opinion and rigid truths within us. Because if we start to get to know what it feels like to have a rigid, bossy opinion in a time where it's most advantageous to allow our brain to change, if we get to know our own brain and what it feels like to be overly opinionated, then we can stop and release our opinions, release our thoughts through breath and through somatic experiencing. If you're feeling less clear, anxious, overwhelmed, if you have discord in relationships at work or at home, I suggest getting to know what it feels like. So it's being in the moment that the friction happens. Observe what it feels like to have a very strong opinion about something. As soon as you have a rigid thought, that becomes the opportunity to soften, release, and be open to change, open to align with a new perspective that might be more current and inclusive to their perspective, whoever they are over there. So, to be an opinion sleuth, to observe your own opinions, and to release your opinions, I suggest the following. First is simply observe. There's a real difference between knowing something, like, oh, I know. Like when you're in a conversation, you can't wait to share your opinion next. That's the feeling we're after, is that feeling of, oh, I want to share my perspective. Just get to know that feeling. And as soon as it happens, I suggest you pause, breathe, and say, I am open to change. I let go of this opinion. And then bring your hands to your head. Imagine that thoughts are made of electrical energy, which they are, that intention and attention can move energy. And you literally just imagine pulling thoughts, poof, you poof your thoughts. What's it feel like to let go of a thought? What's it feel like to let go of an opinion? How can you do that moment to moment? First, observing. Second, breathing. I'm open to change. Third, you release it. You pull it from your form, imagining, practicing, moving energy out of your body back into formlessness. With the phrases, I am open to change. I align with universal truth. And then you add a little smile and let the moment go. Because this is a micro moment. Micro moments, I have as many of these in my day as I can. Building ongoing awareness allows for me to know if I want to entertain the thought I'm having or if I'd rather let it go. So if I notice I'm having a thought that doesn't feed positivity and mutuality and co-creation, then I can pause, poof it. I'm open to change. I align with universal truth and I release the thought. That's it. One micro moment after the next. Practice number 3, I suggest, is about energetic coherence. I think during this phase of Uranus in Gemini, we need to really build our internal soul's compass of truth. Because it's really hard to know what's true and not when AI is just hitting everywhere. We want to trust our own internal operating system in order to understand what truth is for us in any given moment. Your truth will vary from my truth because we're different beings with different perspectives. Yet if I'm building internal coherence within my energetic operating system, my chakra system, then my mind follows. If you're having hard conversations, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling scattered, clear your own energy system with this. It's a simple tool. This one, you imagine the center of your head. You imagine, sense, and feel. You can do so by gently tapping a little bit above your ears. You can also tap the center of your forehead and the center of the back of your head. Subtle. It's very subtle. Energy is more formless than form. Yet it still has form. It just feels very subtle in comparison to physicality. If you're feeling scattered, come into the center of your head, little taps. Then imagine yourself sitting in the center of your head and imagine an equilateral triangle. One triangle in the center of your head. Once you feel that, imagine it, sense it. Then imagine a plate, just a line on the triangle, balancing perfectly. It clicks in. From here, imagine your light, feel light coming through the center of your head, radiating. It's your 6th chakra, 7th chakra, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then we ground it. So you're here in the center of your head. The chakras go down. You feel yourself in the center of your head. And at the same time, you imagine, sense, and feel dropping a root down to the center of the earth. Imagine, sense, and feel dropping a root down. What does it feel like? As you're in the center of your head with the phrase, I clear. So that's a few steps. But essentially, if you're feeling anxious and overwhelmed, you can clear your chakras. You can just simply clear your third eye by bringing your attention there, the center of your head, imagining an equilateral triangle, a little plate on top. That creates the geometry. Then from there, light is coming from there. And you imagine with a deep breath, your grounding cord goes to the center of the earth and it's I clear. And that you can do that in 1 minute or less. That allows for your energy system to stabilize, which creates more likelihood of stable thoughts. I'm suggesting tools at the beginning of a 7-year transit to allow for you to start to trust your internal operating system by clearing thoughts and aligning your chakras in a way that allows for more coherence, just naturally. I'm curious how this will land with you. Thank you. We've come to the end of today's show. Please, as always, like, subscribe, share this. Please rate it if you're on podcast to help its wings start to soar. And I'm honored that I checked and there were like 25 different countries listening, which is like, yes, because this is a global movement. So again, thanks again. Mwah. Till next time. Thank you for being a part of our community here at Our Waking Dream. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Fill my cup and let it overflow. Let it overflow with love.